I'd like to spit some beech nut in that dude's eye and shoot him with my old 45. Because a country boy can survive. Because you can't starve us out, and you can't make us run. And these old boys were raised on shotguns. Because we say grace, we say amen. And if you ain't into that, we don't give a damn. You know what's crazy? I look at the incompatibility of what the globalists are trying to build and how disconnected they are and how really delusional they were that they could steal this election when history was on our side. If they stole it, it would have blown up in their face even bigger. So we've had a moral victory here. But they're now trying to take the Senate back from the Republicans that have supposedly won it. They're claiming in New Hampshire. They're going to try more of this now, okay? They're going to try to go back now. They're not going to announce they're challenging the election. That's why Hillary waited till 3 in the morning. I mean, we're up here at 3 in the morning waiting for her to finally come out, and then she just didn't. They sent scurrying rat out there, John Podesta. And, you know, and he's not, it's satanic rituals. He's doing hot dog parties, and he's off doing whatever else he does. And I'm telling you, I felt it last week. I saw it, too. It was the #1 story on the internet because Drudge linked to it. That ferret cooking article blew a giant bloody hole in her side. They kind of crawled off to die over in the bushes politically, but they're still not completely dead. And they got a bow and arrow over there, and they'll shoot us in the back. So we got to pull back, stay out of range while they bleed to death. And they're going to try to now go in and steal some House seats. They're going to do some other stuff. Bev Harris has a lot of integrity. She's been a Democrat, a liberal. She exposed what Bush did, and I was bipartisan. But there was more evidence of Republican fraud than Democrat. Both parties do it. And she said last week what Assange said. They're not going to let Trump have it. The fix is in. I'm no rocket scientist, but I've studied this. I saw places where she won by such margins, even their fake polls didn't say that. But they weren't in full control. You can't stop a landslide. I don't know Bev Harris's view on this yet. I'm going to find out, but I respect it. She is the expert globally. I'm not bragging. It's just a fact for us. People need to know how accomplished and on target she is. She's had more exposure of election fraud than everybody else combined. And that's not poo-pooing all those great folks. She is so effective. And when she was on a week and a half ago, it made national news. She released the information here on the fraction magic with these programs they found around the country that have no reason to be there but for fraud to pre-program what's going to happen at the central system. And, of course, Soros is involved, and she just said it. You know, most of the evidence is it's the Democrats, it's Soros. It looks like they're trying to do this. Well, just a lay looking at this, being up all night covering it, having the polls for each state in front of me, it looks like they weren't in control of some areas, and that's why Trump won, because of such a landslide. But it should have been an even bigger victory. And so it looks like that, again, Bev Harris has always said on the show for 15 years, you can't steal a landslide. Now, I'm going to find out if I'm wrong or I'm right here from her. And, of course, we're pretty close to this right now. We'll know more as it unfolds. But Bev Harris, I mean, is that basically accurate what I said, or is it wrong?
Yeah, basically accurate. You did pretty good, Alex. You know, as I was watching yesterday, a few observations. One thing struck me very early in the morning yesterday is they had been planning fireworks, and then the Clinton campaign suddenly canceled their fireworks. And they did this early in the morning, which makes me curious as to whether, you know, their intel, they already knew they were in trouble at that point, because it didn't make sense otherwise. They may have still thought they could pull it off. Another thing that struck me, though, I have seen, particularly with the Democrats, a tactic where they'll take a concentrated blue area and hold back the results for hours and hours and hours. For example, when Hillary ran against Obama in the primary in Indiana, Lake County, which is East Chicago and Gary, I knew it. You know, it came in like ridiculous hours later, and then and suddenly turned the state to her. Right? What they're doing when they hold back these dense areas is they're basically figuring out, watching the results come in and seeing how much they need in order to tip the thing, and then they'll, you know, send in those results once they've got the amount that they need to feed it into the system. Last night, they were holding back, and it was ridiculous. They were holding back Detroit in Michigan, Milwaukee in Wisconsin, Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania, and Nashua in New Hampshire. Now, Nashua has like 9 wards. What the heck? They can't count, and they have voting machines. They can't count 9 wards in 6 hours? I mean, no, they were holding it back because it's 7%. But I think as you continue to watch, Trump was absolutely rolling through, mowing it down in the rural areas. And they didn't have enough. They couldn't, you know, they could hold them back if they want. They couldn't come up with enough to overtake that.
Because you can't have, you know, 150% of the population voting in those.
right. So it doesn't matter. You can fraction magic it, but you can only fraction magic it to 100%. You can't do anything more than that. And
so I mean, as a top expert on this, and I want you to roll through the evidence you saw, but I mean, give us a boil down. Then it's pretty clear then to see they tried to steal it, but the tsunami was so big it broke their back.
Yeah, and remember, fraction magic is done by a local fixer or a regional fixer who has inside access. You're not going to do that in every single county, and if you're only going to choose certain counties, you're going to pick the big urban counties. You're not going to pick those small little rural areas. And what I was watching happen last night is he was taking it in the rural areas. And he was taking all the small counties to this tremendous margin. She also wasn't performing as, you know, the other thing is she simply was not. She's not Obama. She wasn't pulling Obama's voters. But in other words, if you're going to fraction magic it, you're going to be selective about what you do, and you're going to pick where you have the greatest opportunity to do something with the least.
Well, I agree with you that it was seismic the night before when they canceled the fireworks display.
What he had was dispersed. Really tough to deal with that. You know, it's really tough to deal with that. So I don't know, but I do tend to. This is just a gut feel and really is not based on facts at this point. Okay, but I think that he probably may have gotten more even, than was reported. I mean,
well, that's exactly what I've been saying. Is that because I mean I went to the polling place and there were all these Hispanic folks, men, coming over telling me they were voting for Trump, and I was just like, wow, there was not a lot of white guys. It was a bunch of women and Hispanic men voting, and just seeing that and what I see on the street in a Democrat city. I don't see any Hillary stickers. There were Obama stickers everywhere.
Well, it varies from the part of the country. I happen to be in California right now, and what I'm seeing here is folks are just mystified as to how it could happen. It has to do with what you're surrounded with, and that's the country is different in different demographics. But it was particularly telling to me. I can't tell you how weird it was to see that they had already canceled their celebratory fireworks early in the morning. It's like that could happen if they had their people on the ground telling them, you have lines and lines and lines of people voting and they ain't voting for you. I mean, if that's the problem, they may have went, okay, let's at least make it a little bit subtle. This was an interesting election, and it's going to continue to be interesting because, the next thing has to be that we haven't solved any of these problems, by the way. We still have to get the ballot images released. We now have another state, Virginia, that has refused to give up the evidence of the election. We have now got Virginia, Washington State, Utah, Kansas, Nevada, and Indiana, all saying that they're going to refuse to give over any evidence of what the election actually was. And so we haven't solved the problem. It is true you can't necessarily tamper a landslide, but you can do a whole lot of the state and local races, and you can certainly do any of the congressional races. So until they make the elections transparent and let us have what we have a right to have, which already exists, which is the records in the machines, we're still not out of the woods on this, and it's just going to happen again, or there's something. I think the problem there was she couldn't really plausibly win.
Now, Bev Harris, that is exactly my analysis and our crew's analysis watching this. Hillary absolutely looked really freaked out the night before the election when she was campaigning. Bill looked really defeated all day yesterday. You could see it. And I think it's clear they canceled the fireworks because they knew.
They knew. Yeah, they knew. And they were hoping maybe they could pull it off by holding back these big urban areas. And see how strange this is. I mean, really strange. They're like, well, Detroit, which is Wayne County, Michigan, we're at 80%. This is like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning their time. Come on, that is not how it happens. It is not, there's no reason whatsoever that you can't have your vote total by 3 o'clock in the morning unless you're holding it back.
The Alex Jones Show, because there is a war on for your mind.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and say, see, I told you so, that communist Chinese-style net censorship was coming to the web, because it's already here. It's being announced. The way you keep the internet open and free is you get involved more than ever. Go to Infowars.com/app. A new battleship in the fight. Infowars Live, available right now. We're looking for a crew to man it. You going to sit down and play games and be a trendy? Or are you going to be part of history? Don't sit by and let the internet and free speech be stolen from you. Take action. I'd like to spit some beech nut in that dude's eye and shoot him with my old .45. Because a country boy can survive. Because you can't starve us out, and you can't make us run. And these old boys were raised on shotguns. Because we say grace, we say amen. And if you ain't into that, we don't give a damn. You know what's crazy? I look at the incompatibility of what the globalists are trying to build and how disconnected they are and how really delusional they were that they could steal this election when history was on our side. If they stole it, it would have blown up in their face even bigger. So we've had a moral victory here. But they're now trying to take the Senate back from the Republicans that supposedly won it. They're claiming in New Hampshire. They're going to try more of this now, okay? They're going to try to go back now. They're not going to announce they're challenging the election. That's why Hillary waited till 3 in the morning. I mean, we're up here at 3 in the morning waiting for her to finally come out, and then she just didn't. They sent scurrying rat out there, John Podesta. And, you know, and he's not, it's satanic rituals. He's doing hot dog parties, and he's off doing whatever.